Personality NLP case study for Myra and first house. Since Myra has Uttara Phalguni rising in Leo as her ascendant, she likely moves through the world with a quiet but radiant dignity, a sense of inner alignment, and a refined drive to support, lead, and sustain. Uttara Phalguni, ruled by the sun and symbolized by the marriage bed or healing couch, is a nakshatra of commitment, restoration, and noble responsibility. Leo rising already brings warmth, presence, and a self-aware approach to life. But with Uttara Phalguni here, Myra's identity is shaped by a desire to stand for something enduring, loving, and just. She is here to stabilize light, not just shine it. She likely comes across as composed and benevolent, someone who exudes grace without trying, who knows her values and isn't easily pulled off course. There's a natural authority in how she shows up, but it's not loud, it's centered. From an NLP lens, this ascendant reflects a blend of auditory digital and kinesthetic processing styles, with a tendency toward general chunking. Myra likely processes life through meaning, alignment, and energetic integrity. She seeks to understand things through function and essence, not just appearance. Her attention filter is self-oriented, but in the sense of self-responsibility more than self-absorption. She checks inwardly for consistency. Does this feel true? Does this reflect who I am? And she likely evaluates relationships, roles, or environments based on whether they match her internal rhythm and principles. Her motivation direction is both towards emotional coherence, loyalty, and purposeful connection, and away from drama, manipulation, or anything that destabilizes the peace she cultivates. Also in the first house, she has Saturn placed in Purva Phalguni in Leo, further deepening her personality with emotional restraint, work ethic, and quiet authority. Purva Phalguni, ruled by Venus and symbolized by the front legs of a bed, brings creative sensuality, charm, and enjoyment. But Saturn here tempers this with structure, maturity, and discernment. Myra may appear softer on the surface, but carries a steel-like inner core. She knows what's worth investing in, emotionally, physically, or professionally, and she doesn't chase. She magnetizes, contains, and holds with grace. From an NLP perspective, this Saturn reflects a dissociated and kinesthetic processing style with specific chunking. Myra likely picks up on subtle energetic shifts in people and environments and uses internal standards to regulate her behavior. She may hold herself to high expectations, possibly too high at times, and prefers relationships and environments where loyalty, consistency, and refinement are respected. Altogether, the combination of Uttara Phalguni rising and Saturn in Purva Phalguni in the first house gives Myra a presence that is sovereign, emotionally intelligent, and rooted in quiet power. Her NLP imprint reveals someone who filters life through self-alignment, tracks experience through emotional resonance and energetic structure, and leads, not through volume, but through integrity, restraint, and beautifully grounded light. Third house, Moon in Vishaka, Libra. In the third house, Myra has the moon placed in Vishaka in Libra, a placement that brings emotionally resonant communication, persuasive insight, and a drive toward purposeful connection in how she thinks, speaks, and initiates. The third house governs speech, learning, siblings, curiosity, and the courage to act. And with the moon here in Vishaka, Myra's emotional landscape is intricately tied to her voice and the way she engages with others intellectually and energetically. She doesn't just express, she moves energy through her words. Vishaka, ruled by Jupiter and symbolized by a triumphal arch, is a nakshatra of focused striving, moral conviction, and transformation through challenge. In Libra, this becomes relational, emotional truth expressed through elegance, fairness, and balance. Myra's moon here suggests that her emotional world is driven by depth of meaning and connection. She's not drawn to superficial interactions, but to dialogue that has intention, intelligence, and direction. Her communication may be calm on the surface, but it carries weight, rhythm, and purpose underneath. From an NLP perspective, this moon reflects a kinesthetic and auditory digital processing style with specific chunking. Myra likely processes conversation through tone, rhythm, and emotional resonance. She feels what's behind the words. She may be quietly selective in her speech, but when she engages, it's with focus and impact. She often filters her communication through internal values and energetic clarity, sensing when something lands well and when it doesn't. Her attention filter in communication is primarily self-oriented, yet attuned to harmony. She listens closely for resonance, not just to respond, but to understand where things are aligned or imbalanced. Her motivation direction is away from surface-level dialogue, chaotic mental spaces, or emotionally disconnected exchanges, and clearly towards conversation that feels grounded, clarifying, and relationally respectful. Emotionally, she may have learned early to regulate her tone and expressions, not suppressing them, but refining them into forms that carry both clarity and grace. The third house moon in Vishaka gives her a natural ability to shift dynamics through calm, centered expression, a leadership presence through voice and emotional awareness. Altogether, the moon in Vishaka in the third house gives Myra a communication style that is elegant, emotionally intelligent, and purpose-driven. Her NLP imprint here reveals someone who processes ideas through energetic and moral calibration, who speaks to realign, not just react, and who holds space in dialogue as someone who listens with care and moves energy through meaning. Sixth house, Rahu in Uttara Ashada Capricorn. In the sixth house, Myra has Rahu placed in Uttara Ashada in Capricorn, a placement that brings karmic drive, strategic power, and inner resilience to her relationship with service, routine, problem-solving, and how she responds to pressure or imbalance. The sixth house governs daily effort, physical health, boundaries, and how we handle conflict. And with Rahu here, Myra is wired to refine systems, navigate complexity, and take command of disorder with steady authority. Uttara Ashada, ruled by the sun and symbolized by the tusk of an elephant, is a nakshatra of enduring success, ethical clarity, and invincible focus. In Capricorn, this energy becomes practical, structured, and duty-driven. Rahu in this placement gives Myra an almost instinctive ability to identify what's broken, disorganized, or energetically misaligned, and a karmic hunger to correct it. She may be drawn to roles that require accountability, resilience, or behind-the-scenes mastery, places where her quiet strength and tactical intelligence can shine. From an Ash NLP perspective, this Rahu supports an auditory, digital, and kinesthetic processing style with specific chunking. Myra likely processes her environment through patterns and internal structures, organizing effort, refining how things are done, and tracking outcomes with care. She has a system-oriented intelligence, which allows her to break down big tasks into manageable actions and sense when something feels off, even before it fully manifests as a problem. Her attention filter in this domain is deeply self-referencing. She holds herself to high standards and may have a strong internal narrative about responsibility, order, or doing it right. She likely filters tasks and environments based on whether they support personal integrity, energetic coherence, and grounded usefulness. Her motivation direction here is away from inefficiency, chaos, or careless effort, and strongly towards precision, refinement, and long-term functionality. Rahu in Uttara Ashada can also give her a quiet but powerful work ethic, not driven by ego, but by an internal code of mastery. She may attract roles or challenges that force her to grow through structure, discipline, or service, and she's more than capable of transforming those into areas of strength and influence. Altogether, Rahu in Uttara Ashada in the sixth house gives Myra a purposeful, contained, and quietly authoritative relationship to responsibility. Her NLP imprint here reflects someone who processes action through inner structure, filters effort through energetic integrity, and moves through challenge not by force, but by quietly mastering the system, step by aligned step. Seventh house, Jupiter in Dhanishta, Aquarius. In the seventh house, Myra has Jupiter placed in Dhanishta in Aquarius, a placement that brings expansive intelligence, rhythmic generosity, and principled clarity to her partnerships and one-on-one relationships. The seventh house governs how we relate to others, attract companions, and balance self with other. And with Jupiter here, Myra brings wisdom, perspective, and quiet optimism into her relational field. She likely sees relationships as spaces for growth, elevation, and shared purpose, not just emotional connection, but alignment of ideals. Dhanishta, ruled by Mars and symbolized by the drum or the rhythm of cosmic order, is a nakshatra of wealth, timing and inner cadence. In Aquarius, it becomes intellectual, future-oriented, and socially aware. Jupiter here gives Myra a relational style that is attuned to rhythm, both emotional and mental, and a natural ability to hold space in partnerships with clarity and grace. She likely values communication, spaciousness, and the freedom to evolve side by side. Her presence in relationship is generous but not over-accommodating. She gives from fullness, not obligation. From an NLP perspective, this Jupiter reflects a general chunking style with a blend of auditory, digital, and kinesthetic processing. Myra likely engages in relationships through broad, conceptual lenses. What are we building together? Does this relationship feel aligned with who I'm becoming? She tracks patterns in how connection unfolds over time and filters emotional data through logic, felt sense, and shared vision. She speaks from values and listens for resonance. Her attention filter in relationship is balanced, self-referencing, but with genuine care for mutual growth. She's not likely to sacrifice her truth for the sake of peace, but she's deeply invested in fairness and evolving together. Her motivation direction in partnership is strongly towards shared rhythm, growth, and philosophical connection. She's likely less drawn to dramatic intensity and more drawn to partnerships that feel emotionally intelligent, mentally expansive, and energetically in sync. Jupiter in this nakshatra also brings a calming authority. She may be the person others turn to for grounded perspective in times of relational tension. Her wisdom is not preachy, it's rhythmic, accessible, and built from experience. Altogether, Jupiter in Dhanishta in the 7th house gives Myra a relational blueprint marked by clarity, generosity, and principled spaciousness. Her NLP imprint here reveals someone who processes relationships through rhythm, resonance, and internal truth, who doesn't bind herself to others to feel whole, but seeks partners who move in time with her, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. 10th house, Mars in Rohini. In the 10th house, Myra has Mars placed in Rohini in Taurus, a placement that brings grounded drive, artistic precision, and a sensual authority to her career path, public reputation, and relationship with visibility and leadership. The 10th house governs professional purpose, life direction, and how one steps into social responsibility. And with Mars here in earthy Rohini, Myra likely approaches her ambitions with a calm, steady, and magnetic presence. She doesn't force outcomes. She cultivates them. Rohini, ruled by the moon and symbolized by the chariot or the red goddess, is a nakshatra of growth, beauty, attraction, and fertility, both literal and symbolic. In Taurus, this energy becomes tangible, consistent, and deeply connected to aesthetics and form. Mars in this nakshatra gives Myra an elegant power. She acts with purpose and pleasure, often drawn to create or lead in ways that honor beauty, rhythm, and emotional safety. Whether in the arts, wellness, design, or any field that involves creating lasting value, she likely blends form with function in everything she does. From an NLP perspective, this Mars supports a kinesthetic and visual processing style with specific chunking. Myra processes decisions and actions through body-based awareness. She feels into timing, stability, and resonance before making moves. She likely tracks the emotional tone of workspaces, the feel of environments, and the visual impact of what she produces. Her actions are not rushed. They are attuned to the rhythm of what's sustainable, pleasurable, and aligned. Her attention filter in professional life is self-referencing, especially when it comes to pacing, creative control, and integrity. She likely resists authority structures that demand speed without meaning or flash without substance. Her motivation direction in career is strongly toward creating lasting beauty, building emotional and material security, and producing work that feels right in both form and effect. She also moves away from instability, superficiality, or pressure that disrespects her timing or values. Mars in Rohini also gives her a talent for embodied leadership. She leads not through force, but through presence. She may have a quiet but irresistible impact in professional settings. People sense her steadiness, her standards, and her unwillingness to compromise on quality or care. This is the energy of someone who builds legacy, not just success. Altogether, Mars in Rohini in the 10th house gives Myra a professional signature of graceful strength, creative consistency, and emotionally grounded ambition. Her NLP imprint here reflects someone who acts through inner timing, processes visibility through felt integrity, and leads by embodying value, not just performing it. She's not here to rise fast. She's here to rise right and to build something real, beautiful, and enduring. 11th house, Venus in Mrigashira. In the 11th house, Myra has Venus placed in Mrigashira in Gemini, a placement that brings curiosity, charm, and refined social intelligence to her friendships, communities, and the way she pursues long-term dreams. The 11th house governs collective belonging, group ideals, and the realization of aspirations. And with Venus here, Myra navigates networks with grace, sensitivity, and an instinct for energetic and intellectual chemistry. She's drawn to people and projects that stimulate both her mind and her heart. Mrigashira, ruled by Mars and symbolized by the deer's head, is a nakshatra of curiosity, searching, elegance, and emotional nuance. In Gemini, it becomes playful, quick, and perceptive. Venus here gives Myra a social rhythm that is both flirtatious and discerning. She likely thrives in friendships that are mentally engaging, emotionally flexible, and aesthetically or spiritually stimulating. There's a natural lightness to her presence in groups, but it masks a deeper sensitivity to tone, language, and emotional texture. From an NLP perspective, this Venus reflects a visual and kinesthetic processing style with specific chunking. Myra likely tracks subtle shifts in group dynamics, tone of voice, body language, conversational pacing, and adjusts her energy accordingly. She may be drawn to circles that value beauty, expression, or innovation, and she learns socially by observing what feels good, what flows, and what inspires trust and resonance. She processes connection not just through shared ideas, but through subtle energetic feedback. Her attention filter in social environments is self-referencing, but open. She notices where the energy is clear, where people are authentic, and where intellectual exchange feels nourishing rather than draining. Her motivation direction is away from performative, loud, or emotionally unclean group energy, and towards creative connection, meaningful friendship, and visions that honor both emotional tone and collective beauty. Venus in Mrigashira also gives her a gift for creating connection through language, aesthetics, and presence. She may act as a connector in her communities, someone who intuitively knows how to introduce the right people, spark the right dialogue, or gently reweave the relational field when it starts to fray. Altogether, Venus in Mrigashira in the 11th house gives Myra a social signature that is graceful, curious, and tuned to emotional subtlety meets mental play. Her NLP imprint here reflects someone who filters group experience through tone and timing, processes friendships through sensory intelligence, and moves through the collective not to be seen, but to create resonance, foster alignment, and gently guide shared dreams into form. 12th house, Mercury in Ashlesha, Sun and Ketu in Pushya, Cancer. In the 12th house, Myra has Mercury in Ashlesha, and both the Sun and Ketu in Pushya all in Cancer, a deeply introspective and karmically resonant configuration that gives her an inner world rich with emotional nuance, intuitive intelligence, and silent mastery. The 12th house governs solitude, dreams, spiritual processing, unconscious imprints, and the dissolution of ego. And with these planets here in sensitive, moon-ruled Cancer, Myra's interior life is sacred, layered, and held within a finely tuned energetic system. She may appear poised and contained on the outside, but her inner experience is constantly moving, tracking and refining meaning. Mercury in Ashlesha, ruled by Mercury and symbolized by the entwining serpent, gives her a sharp, emotionally coded mind, one that processes subtlety, subtext, and energetic cues with penetrating accuracy. In the 12th, this Mercury doesn't speak everything it perceives. Instead, Myra may write, reflect, or simply feel through thoughts in layers before expressing. She likely processes emotion through language, but the kind of language that emerges from silence, memory, or sacred mental mapping. From an NLP perspective, this Mercury supports a dissociated and auditory digital processing style with specific chunking. She tracks words, tone, and body language inflection with scalpel-like precision, often in the background of interactions. The Sun and Ketu in Pushya, both in Cancer, add an ancestral and karmic refinement to her emotional and spiritual core. Pushya, ruled by Saturn and symbolized by the nourishing udder of the cow, is a nakshatra of emotional containment, sacred service, and deep loyalty. The sun here in the 12th suggests that Myra's identity is inwardly rooted. She may shine most when alone, in ritual, or when holding space for others without needing recognition. Ketu here dissolves ego even further, giving her past life mastery around emotional boundaries and a deep resistance to anything that feels energetically invasive or manipulative. From an NLP lens, this Sun-Ketu pairing reflects a kinesthetic and dissociated style of processing with general chunking. She senses truth somatically and emotionally, often before she can name it, and filters out what doesn't resonate with her internal emotional framework. She's likely an emotional minimalist, discarding excess, holding only what's sacred, and speaking only when it's clean. Her attention filter in this domain is profoundly self-referencing. She processes emotional material not through feedback from others, but through internal resonance. Does this feel energetically honest? Is this emotionally safe? Her motivation direction is strongly away from chaos, emotional overexposure, or performative intimacy, and deeply towards containment, spiritual refinement, and the clarity that comes from stillness. Altogether, Mercury in Ashlesha and the Sun-Ketu conjunction in Pushya in the 12th house give Myra a private world that is sacred, refined, and emotionally intelligent at the highest levels. Her NLP imprint here reflects someone who filters life through emotional coding and energetic integrity, who processes experience in stillness, who dissolves distortion before it reaches her core, and who walks through the world quietly sovereign, guided not by noise, but by resonance, reflection, and reverent emotional truth. Overall, NLP drives for Myra. Myra's NLP architecture is built around emotional integrity, intuitive discernment, and quietly calibrated refinement. With planetary placements in nakshatras like Uttara Phalguni, Purva Phalguni, Vishaka, Dhanishta, Mrigashira, Rohini, Ashlesha, and Pushya, and across signs including Leo, Libra, Taurus, Gemini, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Cancer, her inner system operates like a finely tuned instrument, sensitive to resonance, alert to subtle cues, and grounded in emotional truth. She doesn't move quickly or loudly. She moves when it feels right, when the energy is clear and the intention is aligned. Her dominant processing styles are auditory digital, kinesthetic, and visual, with a strong emphasis on kinesthetic and auditory digital. The kinesthetic channel is primary. Myra feels her way through experience. From Moon in Vishaka, to Mars in Rohini, to Venus in Mrigashira and Sun-Ketu in Pushya, she filters emotional, relational, and professional dynamics through body-based awareness, tone, and energetic charge. She notices discomfort before it's spoken. Her auditory digital processing, seen in placements like Mercury in Ashlesha, Saturn in Purva Phalguni, and Rahu in Uttara Ashada, adds structure and mental filtration. She thinks through resonance, distills patterns, and uses language precisely. Her visual channel emerges most clearly in her appreciation of beauty, symmetry, and emotional rhythm, helping her track relational or environmental coherence at a glance. Myra tends to use specific chunking in emotionally or interpersonally charged environments, filtering tone, behavior, and microsignals with keen precision. In philosophical, relational, or career-oriented processing, she shifts into general chunking, pulling patterns from long arcs of experience and organizing her thoughts around resonance and meaning rather than detail alone. Her motivation direction leans strongly away from anything dissonant. Emotional noise, dishonesty, relational imbalance, performative behavior, or aesthetic chaos. She instinctively pulls back from energy that feels unclear, rushed, or unintegrated. Yet when something matches her frequency, when it is clean, nourishing, beautiful, and rhythm, she moves towards it with loyalty, softness, and full emotional presence. This dual filtering makes her cautious, but once trust is established, she shows up with a rare depth of devotion and subtle impact. Her attention filter is self-oriented, but not in an egoic way. It's anchored in self-honesty and internal coherence. She does not calibrate to external expectation. Instead, she asks, does this feel clean? Does this reflect who I am? Does this honor what's true? This inward filtering is what allows her to engage with depth and refinement while avoiding energetic entanglement. Her action style is deliberate, rhythmic, and rooted in timing. With Mars in Rohini and Rahu in Uttara Ashada, she acts when conditions feel aligned, not before. She doesn't force outcomes, but she cultivates them, aligning effort with emotional and spiritual timing. Her movements are quiet but powerful, especially when she's anchored in inner clarity. Altogether, Myra's NLP imprint reflects a psyche tuned for resonance, refinement, and relational alignment. She moves through the world as both feeler and filter, decoding complexity through silence, containing truth through elegance, and offering presence that is simultaneously soft and sovereign. She's not here to speak the loudest. She's here to transmit clarity, lead through tone, and remind others of the sacred rhythm that lives just beneath the noise.